Hi, I'm Leslie Russell, your host today of our show, Our Simsbury, which is a new show created just for you, the viewers. And it's a show to help you get to know the people who serve on the town boards and the commissions, and to teach you and to explain to you how they operate. And today we're very fortunate to have three women here from the library board. And I'd like to introduce Gail Ryan to you, and Susan Bullock, and Carol Bingham, thank you. So welcome. Thank you for being here. And before I get into the questions, because we have a lot of things to talk about today that I'm really looking forward to learning about and having the viewers learn about, because there's a lot of exciting things going on at the library. I'd like to find out a little bit more about what's going on in the past, where you've been, where you've grown up. So why don't I start with you, Sue, as far as where did you grow up originally?
All right. I'm Sue Bullock. I'm the library director, and I grew up in Argentina. And then I came to Danbury when I was 10 years old, Danbury, Connecticut, and we lived on Library Place. So guess why I became a librarian? The library was just like down the road.
That's interesting.
It was really neat. Yeah. And then I went to school, and I got my master's in library science. I've been a director in Cheshire and Meriden, and now here.
Okay. Now, what brought you to Simsbury?
The job in Simsbury was open, and I had never been in Simsbury before. Now, I had lived in Connecticut 20 years, and I had never been in Simsbury. And I came for the interview, and just the loveliness of the town. It was so beautiful coming in with the beautiful big trees on both sides of Route 10. I just fell in love with the town, and that's what brought me here. It was a visual beauty of the town.
And should I make the assumption that you enjoy reading? And
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what types of books do you like to read on your spare time?
My favorites are Regency novels, which were originated with Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen.
Right.
And that. So those are my favorite genre.
And what about hobbies outside of reading?
Hobbies? My hobbies trying to keep awake. No, I enjoy photography a lot, and I love hiking. I'm looking forward to using my snowshoes, and just about everything. I have 3 kids, and try to keep in touch with them. They're all away now. They're grown up. But
okay, so they don't live in the area then?
No, I have 2 in California and 1 in Chicago.
Wow. Okay. Right. Thank you. And Gail, what about you? Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from outside of Philadelphia, and I moved to Simsbury in 1976 from Boston. We had lived in Brookline, and I moved here with my husband because of a job change and our 2 children, and stayed here for, about 12 years, and then moved to California for 3 years. And when we decided to come back, I said, I have to come back to Simsbury. I have to come back to where we know people, and by that time I was a librarian. As soon as I moved here, I started going back to Boston to go get my master's in library science. And when I moved back in 91, I was asked if I would run for the library board, and I did, and I've been on the library board ever since. And that's about it.
That's wonderful. And what do you like to do on your spare time? What are some of your hobbies?
Well, for quite a while we had horses until my daughter graduated from high school. And for the past 25 years I've had dogs. I've had English setters, and I have shown them, and now I'm doing field work with them, which is really fun to see them do what they were bred to do. But that's a whole other story.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Carol, where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Portland, Oregon, but we
Okay.
were talking about how I grew up different places in the country, and moved to Simsbury with my husband 12 years ago. And we have 2 children, 12 and 14, and they're both very involved in hockey, so I spend a lot of time at the rinks right now.
And what else do you like to do? Are you on any committees at the school?
Well, yes, I work part-time teaching reading in Squadron Line School, and have been very involved in that school for the last several years.
Okay.
And I, too, have 2 black lab puppies that keep me occupied.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, it's nice to get to know you a little bit better. I have 3 young children, and I spend a lot of time at the library, so I really appreciate what goes on there, and I'm very happy that I have it as a resource, and I know that my friends feel the same way. So I know there's a lot of exciting things going on there. So let's talk about the library board and exactly why we have it and why we need it. So why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. The Library Board of Directors is an elected board. It is right now comprises of me and Carol, and the other board members are Ann Erickson, Babs Gardner, Charmaine Glue, and Bert Kaplan. And we serve 6-year terms, and the elections are staggered, so 2 people are elected every 2 years. We operate under Chapter 190 of the state statutes, which establishes and provides for the governance of public libraries. We also have town statutes and ordinances and our own bylaws. And we essentially choose a library director, are responsible for developing and presenting the budget to the Board of Selectmen. And we are responsible for receiving gifts and overseeing the budget and the use of the gift money, and also do planning, long-range planning, and develop policies for the library. The most recent policy we've been working on is our meeting room policy.
Okay. And what other kinds of policies, Sue, could you tell us about?
Actually, we have policies on just about everything governing the library. Just yesterday, I went to a workshop on the new Patriot Act, and we are going to be developing policies on privacy, establishing chains of command, chains of custody for materials. Running a library is a pretty complex place. So basically, we have policies on exhibits, policies on the internet use, and that kind of stuff.
Okay, could specifically about the policies, like what kind of regulations? Could you give an example on?
Well, for instance, who can use a meeting room? Can a business use the meeting room and invite prospective customers in? No. Can an organization that is based in Simsbury use a meeting room? Yes.
Okay.
Things like that.
Oh, that's very interesting. And I heard something, a funny story about an ice storm or something like that. We like humor
Basically,
here.
as a library director, I get to do a lot of things.
Okay.
Most of the time, what I spend my time doing is planning and evaluating
Okay.
services. So basically, I talk to people like you, and I say, you know, what is it that you use? What is it that we don't have that you would like to see here? And then we develop services and then evaluate those. So it's a cycle of planning and evaluating, planning, implementing, and evaluating. But I get to do other things, like, you know, we're a building that's almost 20 years old, so the upholstery is worn on the chairs. And when we had the big ice storm, we were being used as a refuge for a lot of people because we had electricity, and, you know, a lot of people didn't.
Right.
So every chair in the library was taken on Monday, and there was this one stuffed chair that was open, and, I mean, there was nobody sitting there. So I was trying to match a piece of fabric because I want to get it reupholstered. So as I approached the chair, a very nice gentleman was sitting next to it, and he said, "Excuse me, ma'am, but this chair is reserved for my wife." So I assured him that I just wanted to match a piece of fabric and walked quickly away. But basically, as a library director, you have to take care of the physical building, and you have to take care of the collection, you have to take care of your staff, you have to take care of town hall and make sure they give you money.
Okay. Yes, money. Speaking of money, our taxes with the library. You know, why should our taxes be used for the public library? What is it that the people in the community get out of it?
Well, Leslie, when you think about it, the library really is the hub, the heart of Simsbury. You're finding that with your young children, that you go there and you're connecting with other people that have young children, maybe finding out you're new to town and you want to know the best dry cleaners. You know, this is where you kind of go. If you're older, maybe it's you've retired, you want to connect with other people in your position, you go sit in front of the fireplace and read a newspaper. The library is the hub of the community physically. It's right in the center of our town, so you drop by and drop off a book or stop in. But also, it serves other purposes. It's the living room where you sit in front of the fire, and we have coffee on Fridays, and it's very nice. You didn't know that, did you? Yeah. Well, that's another thing.
Okay.
It's a free bookstore. We have everything that Borders has, and more. We have fishing rods to borrow. We have grandparent survival kits.
Oh, you have to tell me about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And we have free coffee. But it's all free, you know, and people use it regularly. It's very highly used. But other things that it serves, of course, for research. You know, your children, as they get older, my children, research things there. And it's where you can go to find someone to tell you exactly where to look. Whether it's on the internet, which would be more information literacy, which the library does, or if it's, you know, through regular materials that you're researching something. There is somebody that is going to help you find what you need. Now, going back to the literacy information, I don't think that everyone is aware that those same people are able to guide you through technologies. Did you know that camcorders are available to borrow, or CDs, but also scanners and fax machines and your digital camera? So these people are going to explain the hardware to you, as well as find out whatever you can't find on Ask Jeeves, you know, in the internet. So they're highly trained individuals that will get information for you, as well as a nice community living room, a free bookstore. Is that about it?
That's wonderful. That's great.
I think you've summed it up pretty well.
Yeah.
Now,
right.
how does it sounds like a lot? How does something like that get paid for? Are the taxes enough? Do you get any type of grants or anything?
The taxes cover about 90% of our expenses. We could not do it without the other 10%, which come from grants and gifts, including endowments and money from endowments, and the Friends of the Library, which does a tremendous amount for us. And we also could not do it without our volunteers. We have over 160 volunteers who do all sorts of things, sometimes one-shot.
Sometimes they do, they run the chess program, for instance. We have high school kids and senior citizens who band together to teach over 40 kids how to play chess. And they meet every 2 weeks in the library. Sometimes the volunteers put away the books. I mean, that's sort of like the core volunteer work, because we have over like 500,000 books we put away a year, because that's how many are borrowed.
Wow.
And sometimes they present programs for us. You know, programs on interior decorating or whatever. So
You're saying the volunteers.
volunteers, and basically Gail and Carol are volunteers too. I mean, they're elected officials, but they're
Right.
also volunteering their time. The people on the Friends board, they have a very large board, over 20 people.
Okay.
They volunteer their time. So we have volunteers in many.
If you could explain that, Friends of the Library, what is that?
Oh, I would love to explain
Okay.
that. Can I explain? Sure. Okay. The Friends of the Library is a support organization for the library. They are organized to support the services of the library, and by support, it means through advocacy and action.
Okay.
They advocate for library services when we go before the town for any kind of new service that we need. They are the ones that stand up and say, we need the services because we use them in such and such a way, or we would use them in such and such a way. They also support the library financially, and through their book sale. You know, we have it here at Eno, that huge
Right.
book sale.
Yes.
They raised over $25,000 last year on the book sale, which is magnificent. And there are hundreds of volunteers who work on the book sale. Probably some of the people in this room have worked on it too. And then basically through volunteering. So the Friends is the fastest growing organization in this town. There's almost 1,000 members of the Friends of the Library. That
So
means
it is a
1,000
committee then,
families
people can
involved.
join. And how does one
Yes.
get
How does
involved?
one join? You just come to the library and say at any of the service desks, I'd like to join the Friends of the Library. and we'll whip out a form for you.
That's wonderful. And I know Simsbury's Women's Club does a lot for you, the juniors.
The Junior Women's Club is one of our primary resources for volunteers. They do some of the most wonderful children's programs for us.
Yes, they do. I used to be, last year I was involved.
Were you?
Yeah, so it's a wonderful program.
One thing I wanted to say, or just
Yes,
kind of to
please.
sum up
Yes.
what Carol was saying, is that it really is the hub of the community. It is where people go when they have changes in their lives, either a new baby, retirement, a new job, a loss of a job. It's a place that people go to when they have these changes. And I was reading something yesterday about the question, are people going to continue to do libraries? And it was an article, an interview with John Perry Barlow. Do any of you remember John Perry Barlow?
Wasn't he the lyricist for the Grateful Dead?
Yes, yes, he was.
The librarian would know that.
He is now with Wired magazine, and
he
when
is?
asked, will libraries still have a physical connection in their community? He says yes, they will be places where people do more than go to get books, because a lot of what people want, they will be able to get online. Libraries will be places where people will go to exchange ideas, and they will be more essential even than they are now, guiding people to information, knowing where to find it, and that is the clue. That is why people, all the internet access they have at home, it's the librarian that can help them use the information and evaluate it.
And to get into to find it. I think that a lot of people don't even know what they can get from the library. It's like underused, you know, in certain families. And I know just with this past ice storm, we were out of power and my husband needed to do work. And, you know, a friend of mine said he should go to the library, you know, and just like, yeah, because he was thinking of having to go and get a hotel room just so he could, you know, use his computer and make phone calls and everything. And it's just a wonderful resource. It's just unlimited what's there. So let's talk about the accomplishments of the library. What were some accomplishments last year that you can tell us about?
Okay, well, I think the most exciting last year was our ranking on the Hapler ranking, which is the Hennon American Public Library Rating Service. And Simsbury Public Library is one of the top 100 great American public libraries. We actually rate ninth out of 1,700 public libraries in our population group, and we are 42nd out of 1,000. And that is just a terrific accomplishment.
That is
for us.
incredible. Wow. I'm so happy to hear that. Ninth out of 1,700. Okay. And what about any other libraries in Connecticut?
Oh, I think Darien
Okay.
scored within the top 100 also.
Okay. Now you have very affluent communities in Connecticut. Why do you think that they weren't represented in this?
Well, the Simsbury's wealth ranks about 30th in the state, I believe, but we scored. You know, we were one of the 2 libraries that made it to the top 100 in the country, and I think the reason for that is because Simsbury is different. People in this community really value learning. And you asked me before why I came to town, and I sort of forgot about this anecdote, but I was at a coffee shop. It wasn't Peaberry's then, but it was, you know, one other coffee shop, and I was having a cup of coffee before my interview. And I could hear people talking, you know how sometimes you overhear conversations? And they dropped the word library. And so this group was talking about something in the library, and then this other group of ladies that I was listening to was talking about the library. I mean, the library is on people's lips here.
Right.
Now, that doesn't happen in just any community.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. And then, for instance, to talk about how Simsbury is different. When we have our programs, we have reading programs to encourage both adults and children to read. We reach out to the whole business community and we say, could you please give us incentives for these programs? We've never, ever been turned down. So business pulls together, the educational system pulls together, the teachers refer students to us during the summer who need tutoring. We have a very active tutoring program, and some of those volunteers are used for that.
Really? That's great.
So everybody pulls together in this community because learning is treasured here. And that's why we ranked one of the top 100. It all depends on the quality of your community.
That's great. We were in Southern California last year just for 1 year, and I went to the library there expecting to see a big children's center, and it wasn't there, and I just didn't understand, like, wait a second, we had this great library back home, why don't you have like a children's center? But it's not the focus of every library.
No, it's not, and children are one of our big focus,
Right.
and another one of our big focuses is business. So you sort of have the two spectrums. You have
Right.
children, and you have an adult community that really uses our business center.
Now, talking about the business center, what kinds of programs do you have?
Well, that's another one of our achievements that we feel is very important. Another one we could talk about first would be the teen reading program, which went up 37% this year. Now, that is generally not your core of readers, teens.
Yeah.
They have other things to do, other things to be up to, and yet this went up 37%. And you could point to the librarian that we have to focus on that group. You could point to the new genre of books that's out there called graphic novels. That's, the hot new thing.
And what is the graphic novel that's...
I don't have one with me. It's actually a long, well-developed novel. I'm reading one at this point with my 14-year-old son who really loves it. Now, my daughter can't do it because there's too much. It's a comic book. And so there's a lot on every page of pictures. But interwoven through it is a well-developed novel.
Interesting.
So this is a graphic novel that's really appealing to teens. Now, these are all factors that might have, encouraged the growth in teen reading. But with kids that age myself, I think we're seeing the fruits of these reading programs that we have been hammering away at since these kids, are at birth. Whether it's the January reading program, the summer reading program, everything in between. These kids are reading. We've done it. So we're really proud of that.
That is just so exciting.
It
I'm
is.
so happy to hear that. It seems like we need like a bigger library or something to like accommodate all of this. Maybe we could talk about plans on the horizon.
That is our goal, is expansion of the library.
Okay.
And I think if you look around, we are desperately in need of space. I was in there a week or so ago, and the book I wanted was on the top shelf in the adult section. It is almost dangerous to take a book off the top shelf. It's way above your head. And if you go at holiday time, when for some reason people return all their books to the library, there is not room on the shelves for every book that, if every book is in the library at the same time, you will find books all over the library on book carts because there's just no room for them. But we have other space needs.
So what is the plan then? What are we looking at doing?
We are looking to expand our library building. We are going to double the space, and it is in the town's capital improvements projects plan for the year 2005-2006. So let's expect a referendum then. And I brought some plans with me.
We would love to see them. Do you want to kind of talk about them right
Sure,
now? Okay.
sure. The library, there's not any one place where the library can expand. So basically we're going to be expanding on 3 fronts. And I don't know whether you can focus in the camera on the building expansion, but the present building is one color and then the expansion is different colors. What the expansion would mean would be that we'd be able to double our children's area, which we desperately need because there's like no room even to stand sometimes in the children's room.
That would go to the east.
That would go to the east. Actually, the western part. The
west, right.
Right, on the lower level. And upstairs from that would be the reference area would be expanded. We are also going to add a lot more meeting space. We have one meeting room now that seats 100 people, and that would go to seating 150, and we would add another conference room. There's a great demand for meeting room space in this town. We're a very well-organized town. Everybody's meeting.
That's great.
And we would also obviously add stacks for books and quiet study areas. But in all of this, we have instructed the architect, and I want to point out that Mary Lou Petrina, who is manning the video camera there, she is the head of our library building committee, and has been instrumental in getting us this far. And we are going to retain the coziness of the building. It's a beautiful building, and people love the sun and the
Yes.
the sense of
windows.
openness, and we're going to keep that. I have a picture of what the library would look like from Hot Meadow Street. You can see that the facade is a little bit different. It's not one flat facade. It's broken up with beautiful gables.
So it's the structure of it's going to be changed then, the outside structure of it.
The outside envelope will be changed a little bit
Okay.
on every side.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It'll have more parking too.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned parking. Yes, parking is one of our big problems.
Okay.
And we are planning to utilize Boy Scout Hall parking spaces, expand that and utilize that, and also put in some parking along the perimeter.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, how much is this budgeted for? Something? A
It's
project?
budgeted for $7.3 million if we build it in 0506. If we
Okay.
built it today, it would have been $6.5 million.
Wow. That is really something. I know. I think that the community will really appreciate something like that, and it's very needed. And I know the business people, you talked about the business population needing meeting rooms. Carol, could you tell us about the different programs that you have for businessmen?
That was
and
another
women?
achievement that we've accomplished this past year. We have a business resource center, which is very heavily used, and we're one of the very few in the whole country to have an area targeted for businesses. But Simsbury has a growing entrepreneurship and a lot of at-home businesses that use the library to meet all sorts of needs. The questions, how many kayak suppliers are there in the state of Connecticut? How many manufacturers with fewer than 6 employees in the state of New Hampshire are there? They ask all sorts of questions, and we have the resources to answer these.
Sometimes we really have to dig for
Yeah.
those resources.
They make us work. But
But we have a librarian who digs.
we have one person whose sole purpose in life is
Yes.
to handle business-related. This person gave 30 programs, business-related programs last year, that served over 500 entrepreneurs in the area.
Wow.
So-
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
So if you have a business need of any sort, come to the library. We'll help you.
That's great.
And it's not just, when we think of business, we think of people who have a business and own a business. But basically, where the library is so instrumental is a lot of people, especially in this kind of economy, are casting around to think, what else could I do?
Yes.
And so they have an idea, and they come to the library to develop that idea, and we help them do that. Right through the business plan, right through consulting with people from SCORE who advise them on beginning businesses. That's why we have our programs, and we bring in experts in
And it's
different
free,
fields. And
right?
it's free.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
incredible.
So I think this is our contribution to the town's economic development, and I think it's paying off.
Oh, I'm so happy that we have you all here and working so hard for the community and everything. And we really appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing to our viewers?
There we go. Okay. Do I point it this way? This way.
Go ahead and
Okay.
read it.
Basically, we are available on the web. We have developed a very good electronic library on this website, which is www.simsbury.lib.ct.us. You can call us at 658-7663. The library is open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 9, Friday and Saturday, 9 to 5, and Sunday, 1 to 5. So that's how you can reach us. Please call anytime and ask for me by name, Sue.
All right. Thank you for coming very much. Thank you, Sue, Gail, Carol. It's wonderful
Thank you,
having
Leslie.
you here.
Thank you for having us. This was great.
And thank you for watching Our Simsbury, and tune in next time. I'm Leslie Russel, your host. Thank you.